Stranger Things, one cake for each season.
Season 1.
Okie dokie, artichokey. I've got a bit of a confession to make. I'm not up to date on the Stranger Things. I've only watched season 1. So I thought I would do something a little bit different. I'm going to make a cake for each season as I watch the series. So this is obviously my season 1 cake. I've done a black cake, red drip, that's like the blood, and I flipped it upside down because of the upside down, like, duh. I really like how the drips are going up. It just looks really cool. Next up, I cut this section out of the cake because I just wanted to create a little bit of a crevice. I added some black piping and then the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon being the main baddie monster of season 1. I had to do it. If anyone's interested to see how I made him, I can do another video on that. But here I am just adding on his arms and he looks really creepy. Final thing to go on was, of course, all of the teeth. And that's it. I was so happy with it, and I'm just getting into season 2 now, so stay tuned for my season 2 cake. And I apologise for not being up to date.
Season 2.
Okie dokie, it's time for season 2 Stranger Things cake. Let's go. Just in case you're new here, I am behind on Stranger Things, and as I watch the seasons, I'm going to make a cake for each season. I've already done season 1, and now it's time for season 2. Woohoo! So, in case you need a bit of a refresher, Season 2 is all about the mind flayer shadow monster thing that takes over Will. Poor Will, he really has had a rough trot of things, hasn't he? So Will, he kind of becomes a bit of a spy for both sides, and he draws this map that Joyce pieces together and plasters all over her house. So, for half the cake, I did the map. The other half is, of course, the shadow monster, mind flayer, pure evil. Next up, I had to do something that represented my favourite character, Steve. Good old Steve. He really has stepped up this season. The relationship between him and Dustin was my fave. Adorable. So I decided to make Steve's bat with all the nails in it. And after adding a whole heap of edible dirt, I stuck the bat on at an angle, as you can see. Now, the dirt on top is representing the pumpkin field that Hopper digs the hole in. So I, of course, dug a hole in the top and added some rotting pumpkins. And there you have it. All done my Stranger Things Season 2 inspired cake. I think it turned out pretty cool. And I got to tell you, I'm super excited about Season 3. I haven't started watching it yet, but I promise I'll try not to take too long. And, you know, friends don't lie.
Season 3.
Okie dokie, guys, it's time for the season 3 Stranger Things cake. Let's go! So I'm not going to lie, I had allocated myself a full day to make this cake, and then something came up and it cut my day in half. So I had to rethink my entire design because I had half the amount of time to do it. I ended up going with the patterns from Eleven's outfits, and I sort of stuck them around the cake in a geometric sort of pattern. I then added on the Starcourt Mall sign, an 11 topper, and of course an upside down ice cream from Scoops Ahoy. Now, one of my favourite bits in season 3 was the scene in the hospital. Nancy and Jonathan fight those 2 douchebags, and then those 2 douchebags become goop. And then that goop becomes a really scary monster. So I added some fleshy, bloody goop. And then finally, I added some sparklers because fireworks, of course. And there we go. All done. This season was a lot of fun, and apparently I need to be really scared for next season.
Season 4.
Okie dokie, guess what? It's Stranger Things Season 4 cake time, guys! I have been getting so many comments about this cake every time I post a video. When's the Stranger Things Season 4 cake out? Well, now. Well, sort of. You see, much like Season 4, I have had to cut this video into 2. So you are getting the first part of my Season 4 cake. And once I've finished all of the details tomorrow, I will post the second part. To be honest, I was probably just a bit impatient to get this part out. So, in case you haven't been able to tell yet, I'm of course doing Eddie's grave. Edward Munson, 1965 to 1986. A real hero. When he died, I was legitimately upset. He was of course the leader of the Hellfire Club, so I added a little demon onto his grave. It's like a little demon gargoyle watching over him. After standing the cake upright, I added some edible dusts all over the cake to make it look a little bit dirty concrete. And I also used some black dust in the lettering just to highlight everything. Of course, being a freshly dug grave, I had to add some dirt. So I made some biscuit dirt and chucked that around the grave. Lastly, I added some colourful Hawkins flowers. And there you have it, Eddie's grave But keep in mind there is more to this cake, more to come. Stay tuned and I'll see you tomorrow. Guess what? It's part 2. Stranger Things season 4 cake. Let's do it. So the first part of this cake was making Eddie's grave. I had this vision in my mind of Vecna's head on top of Eddie's grave, kind of like an abstract sculpture. And that's one of the things that I love about cake decorating is there aren't any rules. Building Vecna's head was fun and definitely challenging. In the show, Vecna is pretty terrifying and extremely gross looking. So using some edible paints, I really tried to capture that grossness and I reckon I did a pretty good job. I was loving how the whole cake was coming together, but I did have another idea in mind, and it was a little bit wacky. But I couldn't get it out of my head, so I just went with it. After all, it's my cake, so why the heck not? As you can see here, I'm making a pair of headphones. They, of course, represent Max. Max is another one of my favourite characters, and we all know the song, Running Up That Hill. The headphones with the Walkman are a big part of Season 4, so I wanted to feature that. And I just love how random this entire cake is. I had this vision in my head of Vecna wearing Max's headphones. I wanted to make a cake that was a little bit weird, a little bit strange. And I got to tell you, I have loved every second of it. So, even though I thought that I had finished this cake, I had a suggestion from someone on TikTok to cross out the hero on the grave like it had been vandalised by someone in the town of Hawkins. I thought this was the coolest idea. I also changed his name Munson to Murderer, and you may have missed it, but I also made the flowers all dead. And lastly, I've got a little reverse video of me cutting up the entire cake, which is just super satisfying. And yeah, if you've gotten this far, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my Stranger Things cakes. If you did like them, please hit the like button because, yeah, we appreciate it so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye!